In my life, I have to simply say I've been looking for a new life partner, a significant other, a spouse, and a wife. As a man of 50, I have spent a lifetime looking is probably true. We all sort of do that, don't we? We look for that one person we can love unconditionally, that one person we can forgive for their missteps, that one person we can help in their stress or their strife, and that one person that can help us to raise ourselves into a better person in life. When we do that, we meet people all the time, but in my case, I prayed for something. After I had some struggle with a previous significant other, I prayed to the Lord for him to provide me the right person in my life. And on that profound prayer, on my knees, a few days or so later, a beautiful, spirited, soulful woman walked into my life. We were both still in different relationships. We were both still struggling in different ways in business, but we had an accord. We sort of liked each other's humor. We sort of appreciated each other's minds, and we became fast friends and business associates. I opened my Rolodex to her program, and I did my best based on the parameters of what she was offering to help. Sometimes we get into programs that really don't have good details, and sometimes those details get warped by other people trying to monkey in. In life, we have moments of time to prove who we are in the house of God, and my feeling was that I was doing my best to prove who I was as a man through every test. Now, when we spent time alone, we had a lot to say. We mainly focused on what was going on with her each day. But in my life, I had my own struggles. But most men, like most men, don't talk about those things with their spouses. In other words, we don't share our problems with a different person. We're responsible for taking care of our own family, children, and other things that go on in our life. And what I was discovering was that the ways that I had put myself into the community with special events and different networking circles and breakfasts that I founded and produced was that it wasn't exactly giving me effective outcomes like I had hoped. It gave me plenty of little friends who might like to attend those because of the marketing lessons and the discussion topics and just the people. But it wasn't earth-shattering science, I'm sure most would have felt, and each person took a time to share their skills. We also had guest speakers and other things and other presentations. But the one I loved the most was there that time. She also was sort of someone who was a little flighty at the time, walking in and out of those events as if she didn't have to participate like the rest. That was sort of bothersome in those moments, but I recognize when someone is under stress, they need the freedom to walk away. When a person walks away, like I did one day, I simply said, I can't deal with this right now. I'll call you on a Wednesday. Well, then I was kind of monkeyed with my significant other. She said, I really think that in this case, it is her job to call you and apologize, and I would really appreciate it if you wouldn't call her back after work on Wednesday. So I was put in a predicament. I had given my word that I would return a call on a Wednesday evening, and then my own spouse of my life requested I not call. It was hard because I wanted to call, but I didn't know what to say. And my lover at the time didn't want me to call, so I had to sort of honor that way. But over the course of time, I wanted to call all the time, but it never really worked. When the Lord prompted me, I would text and hope for the best. And sometimes I got responses. And then there was one moment in time when I was driving, I can remember, and all of a sudden I had this tweet or something come across my phone, and I literally almost fell apart completely because I had not seen her online in a long time, and I thought it was directly to me, and then I discovered it wasn't. But throughout the ache and emptiness of her loss in my life, meaning the loss of her in my life, there was many moments in time when I prayed for her. The truth is I prayed almost every day for a year for her and her children. Actually, it was probably 3 years, if I really be honest. And then there was just something that happens to people, that when they don't see the Lord coming through as easily, because the other party is being impacted by their pastor, their girlfriends, their guy friends who just decide to render opinions on the relationship that they have no right to render. I simply sort of stepped away. But my heart never stepped away. Each and every single day when I wake in the morning, I say, where's my love today? Is she okay today? And so therefore the concept of my love came into my heart. I remember early on when I was still having good conversations that I would walk through my kitchen, even when my spouse was around, and I would get those text messages from her, and my heart would literally beat faster, and my mind would just say, I love that woman. I so love that woman. And that's been how it's been since then. It was not immoral or improper to have love for someone. It's not a bad thing to have a soul keeper who is a part of your soul family or your friendship group. The truth is we all produce these people and we don't always tell them how we feel. I used to have that with a sibling, but I lost that when she betrayed me, and that's okay. But people make decisions, and they sometimes impact them for a day, and other times they impact them for a lifetime. The failure to call on that Wednesday has stayed with me for a lifetime. The attempt to repair that relationship has stayed with me and played with me for a long time. And every so often I do my best to reach out and say, hey, still thinking of you each and every day. And I simply waited as long as I could, following whatever public information I could find, to simply finally say, I would like very much for your hand in mine. I would like to walk with you and talk with you until the end of time. And when I made that proposal, that was more than a year ago, I did get a response at one point that she showed up at a Target where I was. I saw her walk in, walk through, and she was almost ready to go, I felt. But when I asked the Lord, what should I do? He said, please walk away. The reason was I was aggressed against that evening, and he did not want me to put her in any jeopardy, physically, emotionally, or psychologically. I can't say that that continued safely for her. I'm pretty sure that the people who took me in took those photographs and started targeting her with their own sins. She's too pretty for him, she's not good enough for him, or he's not good enough for her, and openly that's the message that people often say. When I wrote the book Soul Keepers, my premise to say was, look, every person has a soul. Every person's soul needs to be elevated to its highest level of productivity and performance so that the world can shift to become a more loving and peaceful place. When people, sisters, brothers, siblings, if you will, same thing, friends, colleagues, mentors, parents, start to monkey into interpersonal relationships between two people, often those relationships get tainted. The love and the peace and the honor and the regard that was there gets warped by someone else's opinion. It's an abomination to the Lord to not pay attention to only God's promise. God's promise is that he will provide us a soulful Savior and a Holy Spirit to help guide and lead us to victories in life. If we're not succeeding, we have to decide, are we succeeding based on God's standards, or are we succeeding based on man's standards? I may not be succeeding based on a lot of men's standards. I'm certainly not succeeding based on my sister's standards, but openly they are no longer in my life. When a man proposes marriage, he is prepared to walk away from his entire family, from his parents to his birth siblings. He makes that decision. They make that decision when they got married. It is my turn is not really the point, that I don't have to produce any more promises to anyone else. I have patiently waited more than a year plus for the return response of my proposal. I would like the opportunity to speak in person, but I have used my technology in so many ways to try to get through that I'm starting to realize that it's very likely that these telecommunications companies are violating our telecommunications rights. In other words, they may not be giving us all our minutes. They may not be providing us the pockets of messages that we give. They may not be putting our text messages through, and they may not be giving us all our due. When I make these simple little rhymes, it's not because I don't have a lot of time. It's just because we have to be true to who we are and what we want to do. In my life, I've never been the same. That is the truth, and I'm in no game. But there are people who think they have rights to me, and I don't like it, you see. When you think you have rights to a stranger, you have to be careful. You could be in danger. If you're not promised to someone today, please let me know so I know the way. If I could have your hand in marriage, I'd really like that today to be your carriage. But I can't be that man you want me to be if you expect me to play in a way that makes you uncomfortable. I can't do that. Now I'm losing my rhyme, and that's okay because it's time to end this. But if you don't understand what I'm saying, then it's probably because you're not the one I'm saying it for. You're not the one I'm living for. You're not the one I'm hoping for. And you are not the one in my life that I care for. So if you think you've got rights to me, turn around and look in the mirror and see that you have your own thoughts, your own family, your own lovers, and I don't need you in my life as some hand-holding Glover. Now, if you don't know what that means, that's okay. My vocabulary doesn't have to lead your way. Your life is yours, my life is mine, but who I propose to in this land of America is totally mine. Who I choose to be involved with is also mine. Where I choose to lay my head is totally mine. And if I decide to share my genitalia with someone, that is a private matter between God and that individual. If you think that I don't have that right, then look at yourself. Who do you share yours with? And who you might. You see, it's not about what you might do. It's not about what you can do. It's about what you do. And in this world, you have no right to anyone's sexuality or their genitalia or anything to do with their medical rights or their privacy rights. Make sure you remember that, people, because you are facing both laws and legacy of your own life in terms of your liability to the Lord and your legality and legalities to people who will retaliate against you